Good morning and happy blessed Friday. I had a conversation today with someone who was in a leadership role, and I thought it was something I noticed rather was as I'm listening to stories, I waited for them to finish talking and I asked, was there anything that you can think about from the time that you've come here up until this point, reflecting back, that you would have said or done differently? And they went into this story about another person, and I listened because I felt like they needed to get it out. But it made me think about hypocritical behavior, right? So being hypocritical was the failure to follow one's own failure to follow one's own expressed moral rules and principles. And it reminded me of the person who tells the jokes or roasts other people but can't be roasted, or the person who holds someone accountable but can't then be held accountable. Hypocrisy. And their answer was, no, I haven't. And I sat with that for a minute. I said, so what I'm hearing you say is there's nothing you can think about that you've said or done that you would do differently if you had an opportunity to do so. And I said, because what I'm hearing you say is you've done absolutely nothing wrong and that you were perfect in every situation. And I think when I reworded it and rephrased it, they kind of stumbled and said, no. I mean, I'm sure I can think of something. I just can't think of it in the moment. And I said, and that's quite different of what you just said, that no, you haven't done, versus I'm sure I can think of something. And so it brought to mind the one who holds people accountable has to be able to be held accountable. The one who cracks a joke has to be able to take the joke. The one who gives feedback has to be able to receive feedback. Because what happens is when other people realize what's going on here, it's like, oh, you talk about it, but you're really not about it, right? And the idea that someone will actually take you seriously or listen, lessons and lessons, right? Meaning, if I am holding you accountable, but then in return I can't be held accountable, you're going to look at me like I'm a joke. If I crack a joke or I'm roasting you, but you can't roast me back because I can't take a joke, then you're gonna be like, yeah, I can't play with you, or we can't have this conversation. And so holding yourself to higher standards, understanding that communication, relationships, connections, they're two-way streets. It's not a one-way situation. And I can admit that in times of my life where I was not at a place to be introspective and look at myself and see how I may have said or done something or negatively impacted somebody. I didn't have that in those moments or at that time in my life. But today it is something that I practice. And practice as if I want to build a muscle so strong that I'm willing to give it as well as receive it. So it was just a thought I had, and I wanted to share, and ask, like, where are you at in that process? Can you hold people accountable and then be held accountable? Can you crack a joke and someone crack a joke back with you? Are you a good leader, right? Because at some point you've had to learn how to be that, and being open and being able to receive is part of that process. So just a thought. Thank you for listening. I love you. Happy blessed Friday.